You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the March 17th meeting of the Michigan City Port Authority Board. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Board of Directors meeting, March 17th. I'm looking for approval or correction of March 3rd meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes. I'll second that.
Second. All in favor?
We have to, because we have a member that's appearing electronically, we have to call the roll.
Okay.
Mr. Banner?
Aye. Present here. Aye.
Then Sam.
Yeah. Mr. Ferguson?
Aye.
All right. Looking for comments from the public. Any comments from the public?
Scott Kingan with the South Shore Savings School. It's kind of a question, comment, concern. I know they have the seawall work going on over at NIPSCO here this year, and I was just curious if there's a point where the Port Authority will have information to share with the public, or maybe even a contact to go direct to try to get information. Obviously, that happening in the summer time out here in our waterway poses a lot of challenges, especially for the sailing school. So just was kind of curious how to get more information on that.
I'll see what I can find out for you.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Any other comments from public? No? Okay. Moving on, reports from the harbor master, Mr. Frank.
All right. Well, as you see, the weather has improved. We currently have 4 boats either in the marina or will be in the marina here by the end of today. So we have currently started putting things back together, and that includes putting the fire extinguishers out. We had them safety checked from the fire extinguisher company. We fixed a little water leak. We put the hoses back on the pump out machines, and we're just generally going through putting things back together after the winter. Down at Trail Creek, we've pulled the big barge out, and we're doing some service work on it this week, so it'll be all ready to go. And that's all I have at the moment.
All right, reports from the assistant harbor master administration, Ms. Colecki.
All I have is that today the payments were due and they've come in steady all day today, and that's all I have.
All right, Mr. Ferguson, I'll go over your bills that you paid. How's that? Budget and financial oversight.
Sam, can you hear us?
Yes, financial results, I do not have anything. Mary Ann has something to talk about on the bills. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, the president is going to go through those.
All right, so we have a total of bills of $34,034.87. And then,
This was for that CD.
okay, that's a CD transfer.
Electronic transfer.
Okay, and then we had a transfer amount of $414,183.74. $414,000 being our CD that was transferred.
Well, it's not showing here. It's only showing 414.
Yeah, that's 414 is what was transferred.
Oh,
Yeah, 414
Into a CD.
into a CD.
okay. All right.
So it gives us a total of $448,218.61. So I'm looking for someone to make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills. I'll second.
We have to do the roll. All in favor?
Yes.
Yep, good.
Mr. Manor?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Mr. Ferguson?
Aye.
Yeah. Bills are paid. And Mr. Haynes is not present. Claims and insurance. Insurance is all up to date. We looked at the other bills that were there. Port operations, personnel, and marina policy, pretty much just getting everyone back in their situations. I know that already had multiple summer help coming in, so I know that's going on too. Then with Mr. Messina, he is up for reapproval tomorrow, so he is technically not on the board until tomorrow again, so that's why he's not present. That brings us to master planning and special projects, park liaison, Mr. Manor.
I have nothing for the master planning aspect of it. A couple of things from the park board. They really don't apply to us, but they're for information I thought would be appropriate to talk about. The demolition of the fountain at Millennium Plaza is going to be taking place. They passed that last meeting. They had to either pass it or okay to move forward financially, try to financially keep it there. Because of the finances and the way they were, they decided that they were going to demolish it, so that will be demolished. That's one thing just for news. And the other thing for news that I thought I'd report was the Pride Fest. They passed the major relations agreement to have the Pride Fest again this year. I don't have any dates or anything on it, but like I said, it doesn't apply to us, but it's good information to put out there for folks. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Sapers, advertising public relations.
Yep, okay. I have been working on the wall and the area over by Harbor Country Adventures. Dan and Tim and I all got together earlier in the week. We went out and walked it, talked about different ideas and things. I've got a proposal to give everybody. And I've got some bullet points if anybody wants to review this. And I'll read through it, but and then if anyone wants to make a motion to do anything, we could. So, the way I see it, based on what we were talking about out there, is we basically got two areas. We've got the area from the Coast Guard to the corner where the sailing school is. And then we've got from the corner where they are to the bridge. And I see those as two separate things for a couple of reasons. One, in the area between the Coast Guard and the corner, we have power and water. Whereas in the other area, we do not. The whole thing is Port Authority controlled, so we have the ability to put signage up or mark it as such. And my proposal with that is that we would go along the wall. There's a white ledge that's metal, it's painted white from the Coast Guard all the way around to the bridge. And every so many feet, we would stencil that and say boat mooring. And then we could place signage in certain locations, and we could spread it out again every so many feet, that would say fishing permitted when boats aren't mooring, when boats aren't present, something to that effect. Because the conflict becomes between boaters and fishermen down there, okay? And then I thought of another level of signage would be that each of those power boxes has really the ability to have a sign on it. And that would be a good area for us to put a sign that says, this is for boat mooring, and you would contact the Michigan City Port Authority for overnight rental for each one of those, okay? Then, as Tim and I were walking down there, he pointed out an area where there used to be a sign. In fact, there's a sign on there's a sign down this end on one side of a electrical board, I think, where it says contact for mooring, and I think there's a name on there of ours. And then at the other end, there's another spot where there's two vertical uprights where a large sign could go. It could be dual-sided even. And in that area, I think it would be nice if that sign said something to the effect of contact the Michigan City Port Authority for overnight mooring. And on the other side, if it was nice big letter sign versus the small ones in other areas, that would say fishing permitted when boats aren't present, something like that on the land side of it. So that's basically would take care of the section from the Coast Guard to the corner. Then from the corner to the bridge, continue on with the stenciling of the white cap, where it would say boat mooring on the wall, down along through there. And then from there, I liked Vic's suggestion on using that company that does the QR code, and they would have signs that they would actually provide down there for their company. And for there, it would be an hourly mooring, where a boat could come up and say more for 1 hour for $10, 2 for 20, so on and so forth. They can moor as long as they want it. We don't have power and water there, so we're not really offering overnight mooring there per se, at least from a rental perspective. And then with that system, that Air Park company that does the QR code, they do a 50-50 revenue split. So half the money would come to Michigan City Port Authority, half would go to Air Park. And that really could be used for us on a kind of a test case basis, just to see how that whole program works out. And then if we wanted to continue that in years to come from the corner to the Coast Guard, we could consider it. But I don't think, based on what Mary Ann had said before on voters calling in and all of that kind of thing, I don't necessarily think we need that system, at least now, from the Coast Guard to the corner. I think our system that we have in place works pretty good for that. We don't necessarily police it really that way. So my suggestion would not be for that at this point. So that's what I've come up with so far.
Have you talked to this company at all?
I have not. Vic did,
Right.
and they met with him down there and said that they were willing to do it. And then Tim and I and Dan talked about it, and we would want to obviously run it through us to do it ultimately,
Right.
but that'd be a conversation we'd have to have.
Right. Yeah, we definitely want to do that.
Yeah.
Then, I don't know, on that wall, if we need more padding on that or not, if we're gonna,
We're talking at Millennium Plaza.
yeah.
Well, if we're gonna encourage people to tie up there, then probably we should do something.
So, okay.
I'd have to look, I think we had some timbers there at one point.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
My only question would be for our lawyer. With signs saying fishing permitted when boats aren't present, can we legally do that?
That's something that occurred to me as well, and I would have to research. You may recall that when we had that issue over with the dock or whatever it was that Blue Chip had. Part of the permit that allowed them to develop that whole Blue Chip area was that they had to maintain that, whatever it was, the strip,
Right,
and make it available to fishermen.
right.
Which I've done none.
Yeah, which they haven't done. But I don't know that there's anything, because I have not researched the issue, but I will do so,
Yeah.
to see if we can limit fishing to periods when there aren't boats moored there. I mean, our purpose here at the marina is to accommodate boaters
Right.
primarily, but there may be something in the statute or the ordinances that say you can't limit fishermen along this area.
Yeah.
So I'll look
Well,
at that.
it's kind of hard to catch a reel when the boat's marked there.
Well, I agree.
Just- So,
But their argument would be then, because you can't interfere with our right to fish off this area, you can't have boats moored here.
yeah, well, that's why we have you.
Yes.
Can I make a comment?
Sure, Sam.
Sam,
Go ahead, Sam.
okay, I'm hearing what you talk about. I think the concept sounds really good from my point. I'd like Chris, you and Tim, and anyone else you're dealing with to consider talking to the city administration and letting them know what we're thinking, because they're going to probably get some comments over this also. It's my thought.
Yeah, we gotta do more research before we really wanna make a decision on anything.
Gotcha, I understand.
Yep,
Thank you.
yep. So we got a little more work to do, but the premise I don't disagree with, we just wanna make sure we don't.
Right.
Well, I'll make a motion that we allow our lawyer to look into this further and make sure we're not breaking any laws.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call.
Bruce,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Mr. Ferguson,
Aye.
Anything else, Mr. Cyphers?
That's all I've got for today.
Moving on to the attorney report, Mr. Zach.
This morning, I circulated by email a draft copy of a proposed license agreement with the LaPorte County Convention and Visitors Bureau, which would govern the 2025 through 2026 Great Lakes Grand Prix. The only issue that I left blank was whether the Port Authority was going to charge any kind of a fee for the license in those 2 years. whether it's a nominal amount or something that is more than a nominal amount. We are entitled to have an executive session to talk about this because it deals with effectively a lease. We style it a license, but it's very similar to a lease because we are renting out part of our property. And so I would consider that a lease or in the nature of a lease, and so could be subject to an executive agreement. We also might have another reason to have an executive agreement related to the negotiations with our friends at the yacht club, which don't seem to have been resolved yet. So we might be able to address both of those issues at an executive session if we wanted to. I mean, if somebody wants to make a proposal about how much should be charged to the Visitors Bureau, that's fine as well. But if we want to have any kind of an in-depth discussion of it, we should probably do so in an executive session.
Let's do that.
Okay.
As far as good job. Makes most sense.
I would suggest that we hold off on scheduling that until perhaps toward the end of this week and maybe next week. We may have some additional information toward the end of the week about the status of the sale of Holdings Group's interest to the Michigan City Yacht Club. And then if we did, we could roll whatever issues remain on that front into the executive session that deals with the Visitors Bureau issue.
That can get some people off of vacation.
Right. Indeed. And that's all I have.
All right. Does anybody else have anything else? Any other comments from the public?
Just a comment, suggestion. I was thinking about the wall issue we talked about earlier, the seawall. And when you're talking about the signage, first of all, I applaud the effort being put forward on signage because that is a big problem out here. The other thought I was just having is, are there any rules, because it is a federally navigable waterway, are there any rules related to fishing out here? Because what I noticed is that when the boats are coming down the waterway, they're throwing those lines out pretty far, and we've had boats get tangled up in some of those fishing lines, and it's going to probably be even worse this year with the work going on the seawall over there. So might be just another place to check on any requirements on fishing.
Anything else? Anything else?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion adjourned.